Okay.
All right.
All right. Game number 3 of the second weekend then was Chicago Red Stars versus Gotham FC. Chicago were the hosts, and this ended 0-all. And after a difficult loss in the previous week to Portland Thorns, Chicago really would want to have come back and asserted some sort of dominance that we expect from them. Romel, did you see that happen in the match?
Yeah, I think credit to them, especially a team that has had such a massive thrashing in the opening week. For them to kind of come up and come back with a game plan and actually sort of try and be competitive back again. I think we saw fragments of that all over. And I think what was heartening for especially fans is that we now know that Gotham is one of the top teams around, given the way they play and stuff. To come back with the result that they did, I think it's a lot of credit to the Chicago team. They showed like a lot of I was going to say courage there, but that's the wrong word.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of fight, very interesting, and I think we did see some very legs from the Gotham team. So I don't think this was like. I think it was a little too quick on the bounce for them. So I mean, I think it was very lucky that Chicago caught them on such a day. And at the end of the day, it was. I wouldn't say it was like a very interesting match that was like uh, the previous two, but it had enough of stuff going on for it where it wasn't really a bad match. For me, this match was actually there were no clear standouts, but I think there were like two players that did enough of like strong work to sort of be mentioned. There was Kayla Sharple and Morgan Gutto. I think between the two of them, there was enough of a mopping up of the threat from Gotham, which is why I think eventually it wasn't as dangerous for Chicago. So, good match on these two. That was my reading. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very fair that this one was not the most exciting NWSL game we've seen. Especially with the games that happened before and after this game. It seems to be like there is always one of these games that has to balance out all the high blood pressure and heart attacks that everyone keeps having. But yeah, Chicago Red Stars had to come out with some force, and if they had gotten you know a beating from Gotham, which they very well could have. I think Gotham were a little bit off, but they could have very well capitalized. Then Chicago would have been in real trouble. So it's good. It's good that Chicago had this point that they've taken away because it sort of evens up the table a little bit more. Not that it's not already very even. It's anybody's game really, but again, it just throws another team into the mix. It takes a couple of points away from another team. So it's very exciting to see that it's as close as can be. And of course, I think Gotham were just not good enough in terms of possession. They couldn't find their stride as they normally do. And again, there was a pressure that they were put under and they were not able to capitalize off that. So I think it's good for both teams to have come out with a clean sheet. It says a lot for goalkeepers, for the back line, especially with forward lines that both teams have. I'm sure there have been enough threats. There were enough shots on goal as well to actually make them do work. So yeah, of course, Kalen Sheridan in goal was quite good for Gotham. And away from home, I think Gotham will take a point in this new renewed team that they've come out with. I think Gotham were they could have had chances like Carly Doyle hit the crossbar. I think Didasco was very good as a fullback. She ran up and down the flank a lot and connected with Carly Doyle, especially the one where she hit the crossbar. It was Didasco making a 1-2 pass because there was nobody else there. And BN again had a header which was saved. So they were on the cusp, and Chicago, credit to them for holding them out and securing a clean sheet. It'll go a long way in their confidence and games moving forward. I think the player of the match for me, again, as you mentioned, there wasn't one that I can say, oh, it was that person. I think Malpew was good for Chicago Red Stars in terms of just being that best, almost someone who had energy, someone who the ball was sort of rolling to the touchline, but she was charging to get the ball and put it back in play. It was not a very lazy performance. It was a very whatever anti-lazy, very energetic, very hyper, and something that Chicago needed to really get that point. So for me, it was man of few. Of course, we see in the next game Chicago had that she had a bigger role, but I think good signs from Malpew. I'm sure Vlatko sort of got his eyes on her as well. But for Chicago, I think she did put up a good performance. So she was my player of the match.